The interview Donald Trump just sat for with Norah O'Donnell regarding the events at last night's White House Correspondents Dinner was an absolute train wreck in every single way. The first major issue was Trump's blatant refusal to deal with the reality of what actually happened at that dinner, and we are going to dive deep into those details in just a moment. But even more shocking was his reaction when he was pressed on the shooter's manifesto and its specific mentions of Jeffrey Epstein. Donald Trump completely lost it. He had a total meltdown on national television. I want to start right here because this clip is such a massive self-exposure of who Donald Trump really is. I honestly find it hard to believe that the screaming maniac actually went on record and said this.
The so-called manifesto is a stunning thing to read, Mr. President. He appears to reference a motive in it. He writes this, quote, "Administration officials, they are targets." And he also wrote this, "I am no longer willing to permit a pedophile, rapist, and traitor to coat my hands with his crimes." What's your reaction to that?
Well, I was waiting for you to read that because I knew you would, because you're horrible people, horrible people. Yeah, he did write that. I'm not a rapist. I didn't rape anybody.
Do you think he was referring to you?
Excuse me. I'm not a pedophile. You read that crap from some sick person. I got associated with all stuff that has nothing to do with me. I was totally exonerated. Your friends on the other side of the plate are the ones that were involved with, let's say, Epstein or other things. But I said to myself, I'll do this interview and they'll probably, I read the manifesto, he's a sick person, but you should be ashamed of yourself reading that because I'm not any of those things.
Mr. President,
and
these
I was
are
never,
the gunman's words.
Excuse me. You shouldn't be reading that on 60 Minutes. You're a disgrace. But go ahead, let's finish the interview.
The other thing that he wrote in
disgraceful.
the other thing in the manifesto.
No, let's be crystal clear here. This shooter's manifesto is obviously aimed at Donald Trump. But let's not pretend it couldn't apply to several others in this administration. I mean, Pete Hegseth is a documented disaster. And while we don't know everything about RFK Jr., we know he spent time with Epstein, just like Howard Lutnick did. There are plenty of people in that orbit whom these disgusting labels could apply to. But the fact that Donald Trump's immediate knee-jerk reaction is to jump in and bark, well, frankly, that's not me. I didn't do those things. It's you. You're the one who's friends with Epstein. That is a massive admission of guilt. It is pure projection, and it's Trump completely giving away the game. He knows exactly how we perceive him because, quite frankly, it's the truth. So of course he was going to have a meltdown. Of course he was going to lash out at Norah O'Donnell. And honestly, you're going to want to stay tuned for what she said to him. I don't want to get too graphic here, but let's just say she was basically doing the man's bidding. And that's the polite way of putting it. I could use much stronger words to describe her behavior. So stick around for that later in the video because I am absolutely furious and I'm about to go off. It's incredible. Trump's gut check response to being asked about administration officials being labeled as sex criminals or Epstein associates is to immediately scream, "Not me! You're disgusting for saying that." And yet, look at the mainstream press today. They are actually praising him. They're saying he's lowering the temperature and standing up for the journalists because he showed up at their dinner. What a great guy, right? The man called Norah O'Donnell disgusting just for asking a question about the shooter's manifesto, a document that is arguably the most relevant piece of evidence in this entire situation. He was also visibly fuming because he was questioned about falling over last night on his big, fat, McDonald's-fed ass. That's what had him rattled. That's what had him yelling and attacking. I want to dive into the details of this and show you the clip right here. Trump 79 explains fall while fleeing White House Correspondents Dinner shooting scene. The president said that he had dropped down at the urging of Secret Service agents. Yeah, I don't buy that for a second. Donald Trump, however, explained how he ended up on the floor as he fled the shooting at Saturday's White House Correspondents' Dinner. Trump 79 was captured falling to the ground as Secret Service agents ushered him away from the dais after shots rang out during the dinner. Agents quickly pulled him back on his feet before hurrying him away from the scene in the ballroom of the Washington Hilton in DC. Speaking to Norah O'Donnell in a 60 Minutes interview on Sunday, the president said he went down at the urging of Secret Service agents, not because he fell. I started walking and they said, please go down on the floor, Trump recounted. So I went down and the First Lady went down also, but we were asked to go down the agents as I was walking. He said that the agents asked him to go down. O'Donnell asked if the Secret Service agents wanted the President and First Lady to basically crawl out, which Trump affirmed pretty much, even though they didn't do that with JD Vance. So that's interesting because Trump, who turns 80 in June, then retold his story another time, saying he started to walk out a little bent over when the agents told him, please go down to the floor, please go down to the floor. And as we can see, yeah, that's not exactly how this played out, because Donald Trump fell on his ass. Look, there are a lot of truths about what went down last night that Donald Trump is going to flat out reject or try to spin in the media. But him being a big, out of shape guy who tripped over his own feet and fell on his McDonald's filled backside, that's definitely one truth he can't escape. I'm sure the bruises on his hands are getting worse as we speak, and I'm sure his ego is even more swollen than his ankles. Now obviously, his physical clumsiness isn't the most important thing that happened last night, but it proves a point. Donald Trump will lie to the press about anything. He'll call them up, manipulate the narrative, and feed them whatever story suits him. And honestly, it is so embarrassing. I get why people went to the dinner. I understand why people like myself were out at events this weekend. I was out there hanging out with friends like Brian Tyler Cohen, Tommy Vietor, Jon Favreau, Jordi Mycelis, and Adam Mockler. I went to see Don Lemon and other friends in the YouTube space to talk about how we are going to continue growing independent media. I even had David Pakman here yesterday, and we were talking about how incredibly grateful we are for all of you. You are the only reason we can do this, the only reason we can build these friendships and fight back against this administration. Because let's be real, the mainstream press certainly isn't doing the fighting, are they? I understand why journalists were in the room, but the fake protest act is exhausting. You weren't actually there to protest the man, and now, suddenly, you're basically washing his feet and spinning his narrative for him? It's pathetic. It's ridiculous. Especially when Trump continues to lie about the most basic facts of last night's events and how we even got to this point. He's showing a complete and total neglect for the reality of gun violence and political violence in this country. And guess who he decided to blame for all of it?
Also at the dinner last night was your secretary, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. His sister, Carrie Kennedy, was there. They've both witnessed their father and their uncle be assassinated.
That's right.
Erica Kirk was there. The House Majority Leader, Steve Scalise, was there.
Yeah.
Political violence has touched so many people in that room. Is there something that you as president can do? What can be done to change the trajectory?
Well, you go back 20 years, 40 years, 100 years, 200 years, 500 years. It's always been there. People are assassinated, people are injured, people are hurt, and I'm not sure that there's any more now than there was. I do think that the hate speech of the Democrats, much more so, is very dangerous. I really think it's very dangerous for the country.
Yes, it is the fault of Democrats. Of course it's the fault of Democrats. Not the man who calls us animals and dogs and enemies of the state. Not the man who was reposting calls to hang Mark Kelly in the streets for treason because he had the gall. Oh, how scary and terrible to say that maybe our men and women in uniform. They shouldn't be following illegal orders. Oh, crazy to say. We got a Department of Defense. We got a Secretary of Defense committing war crimes. And Mark Kelly, American patriot, is saying, hey, war crimes not good. Don't follow them because you will be prosecuted. Donald Trump doesn't say you will be prosecuted, although he certainly does. He usually jumps right to hung in the street or someone on my team will deal with you. Donald Trump literally began his administration by saying political violence, it's fine. If you commit political violence on my behalf, if you to go to the Capitol, you beat up cops, you kill people, yeah, that's fine. And I'll excuse it and I'll pardon it and I'll go out of my way to give it approval. And so I don't want to hear this and the media needs to be pushing back against it. But they are not going to. That much we know. And not only are they not going to push back against Trump, but Norah O'Donnell, what did she have to say to dear leader? What did she have to say after he opened the interview up by calling her a disgrace for reading a document relevant to the story that was last night, whether it was staged or not? What did he say? He said, "You're a disgrace." And what did she say? She said this.
Well, I know the White House Correspondents Association very much appreciates you going last night and honoring a commitment to do it
I
again.
hope we're going to do it again. Norah, tell him to get it going, and we should do it within 30 days, and they'll have even more security, and they'll have bigger perimeter security. It'll be fine, but tell them to do it again. We can't let something be, it's not that I want to go. I'm very busy. I don't need that. I think it's very important that they do it again.
Oh, Donald, we really appreciate you. We think you're just a fantastic guy and everyone else does too. Seriously? You think I'm a piece of garbage and you think I should be hung in the street? Well, it's so sweet of you to say that. You're such a lovely individual. Do these people not get embarrassed? Do they have no shame? Seriously, not a single ounce of dignity? It's all just for the access. That's all they care about. They just want to be able to pick up the phone, call Trump, and act as his personal stenographers, repeating every single lie he spits out. It's beyond embarrassing. They are being played so hard. You'd think these people would be smarter, but they clearly aren't. This is exactly why I have zero sympathy for anyone claiming trauma today, especially Erica Kirk. Honestly, just shut up with the crocodile tears. They are fake. If the alligators out there need a shoulder to cry on, I'm here for you. But I'm done with Erica. She hasn't said one single word about actually combating gun violence in this country. Not one. She's out there crying, "Oh, I just want to go home." Really, Erica? Because you haven't spent a single day at home since your husband was killed. It's been a non-stop media tour, one interview after another. So look, if you see fireworks in the sky tonight, don't worry. It's just Erica Kirk coping in front of a camera. Consider this a fair warning to keep your pets inside and maybe give them a sedative, because Erica is going to be mourning last night's events with a light show today. But in the middle of all this noise and fake grief, someone actually decided to redirect our attention to what actually matters: the crisis of gun violence in America. And of course, it was Jamie Raskin. I truly appreciate what he had to say right here.
I can't believe that school children are dealing with this all across America and don't have the resources to process their trauma. And so that launched a conversation about gun violence and how, somewhere between 275 and 300 people are shot every day in our country, and we lose more than 100 of them every day. So even as this nightmare was unfolding at the White House Correspondents Dinner, dozens and dozens of people had been shot and killed in our country. And so I hope this isn't just a inside the Beltway story. I hope we talk about the conditions for school children and people all over the country who are dealing with this.
Every single Republican on Capitol Hill right now is screaming for a ballroom. A ballroom would have fixed all of this apparently. Great. Then how about every single school in America gets a ballroom too? Because we've had school shooting after school shooting after school shooting for decades now, and absolutely nothing has been done. Not one thing. But sure, let's pass the ballroom bills. Let's throw ballroom money at the problem. It is absolutely disgusting. And we are going to keep calling it out on this show. Every single day. No exceptions, no days off. If you want to support that fight, as always, you know what to do. Hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video if you made it all the way to the end, and drop a blue heart in the comments so I know you're still with me. Keep on fighting, y'all. Don't you dare let them silence you. I'm Liam Prescott. I'll see you next time.